I needed to do some homework yesterday, and yet I just couldn't seem to start. It's 3 p.m., and then 4, and then 5, and all this time I'm trying to start, but I just can't seem to. And at the same time, I'm having this guilt, this shame. You've probably felt this too, where you know you need to do something, and yet you just don't do it. I felt that guilt and shame. Hours are passing by. And it's not even like I was relaxing either, because if you know you need to do something, it's not relaxing if you're trying to avoid it. And this guilt and shame kept piling up until 7 p.m. hits, 4 hours later. Until I finally decided enough is enough. And I used the 2 strategies that I want to share with you. And I ended up getting it done. The start is the hardest part. Before we start something, we have these overall expectations of how hard it is. And those expectations are wrong. Our brain overestimates, and it feels like things are harder than they really are. And this happens because your brain doesn't like doing stuff. Your brain wants to expend as little energy as possible. And whenever we actually do end up starting something, we've all had those times where we start something thinking we're going to only do it for 5 minutes, and we end up doing it for an hour. That's because that's the actual difficulty of the task. We think it was way up here, but really it was just down here. We overcome this, what I call the starting hump, by lowering our expectations, by making it seem smaller than it really is. And that's exactly what I did. In the story that I just told, first of all, I used chunking. Chunking is where you see a huge task in front of you and you break it down to the smallest part. For me, I just decided that I'm just going to do a few pages. I did 20 pages of homework last night, and I decided I was just going to do 1 or 2. Even though I'm lying to myself, because obviously I still have to do it, but lying to myself made it seem less difficult. And just because I'm lying to myself doesn't mean that once I finish it, I can't keep going, right? It's as long as I start it, then I can keep going if I want to. But even then, it might feel like it's difficult because even 1 or 2 pages sounds more difficult than you'd like it to be. So instead, you can combine this with the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is where you set a timer for 2 minutes and you tell yourself, I'm only going to do this for 2 minutes. That's it. And once the timer is over, you can go ahead and stop. Now, obviously, you don't want to stop at 2 minutes, but it just makes it seem like you're not going to actually take a lot of time into it. This plus chunking means that you're only going to do one small thing for 2 minutes. That's easy. You can easily do that. And when you actually start it, you'll find that you end up doing the whole task. I did the first page in about 2 minutes, and I just decided, you know what, it's actually not that bad. And so 1 hour later, I finished all 20 pages. I only got there because I just got past the starting hump. And I want you to do the same. And so really the best way to utilize this video is to start. It's not to research these strategies. I explain them well enough. You don't need some PhD expert explaining them, okay? The best way to stop procrastinating is to take action. And these strategies that I provided for you, they'll make it much easier. You think that action is some big unachievable thing, but really, if you just follow these strategies, it's simple. It's stupidly simple. It's going to be very easy and you're not going to regret it, I promise you. You are going to thank yourself in the future because you use these very strategies.